We want, as a country, to live amicably with our neighbors. And as part of our mandate, as I mentioned earlier on, it is our responsibility to ensure that we really discuss with our neighbors or our counterparts from the opposite side of our country if there are issues. And I can assure you that currently we have a very good relation with the Boundary Commission of Togo. So when there are issues, we are jointly going to resolve these issues at our boundary. We are not going to resolve it independently. Coming here, they are aware that we're coming here. We've told them that we're coming here. They've told all their security personnel along the borders that we are coming to do an exercise here. They should give us all the cooperation. We are in constant touch with them. And that is the way we want to do our work. Going forward, we want to ensure that there will never be a dispute coming out of boundary pillars between Ghana and its neighbors. And that is why, that is the main object of the Ghana Boundary Commission. And we're going to ensure that that is applied to the latter. The
traveled with the team, and she joins me in the studio tonight when we're beginning to learn of the of that.
So before we got there, what we knew was that there have been men deployed on the ground to do their own checks and put together a report, after which they were to brief Brigadier General Kotia, after which he was supposed to go on the ground and check with these briefings that he's been given to check what is actually pertaining on the ground, and then to meet up with the communities on the Togo side and then on the Ghana side. He talks in this soundbite that we just played about conducting an exercise, and that the Togolese counterpart are aware of this exercise that Ghana intends to conduct, which is the auditing of our pillars. Now, Evans, these pillars are tiny little, if you like, walls that have been implanted in the ground. And they date back to post and pre-colonial days. I understand the earliest update was done somewhere in the 1960s. So these are very tiny things, but they are very powerful because they are separating two countries and showing you a country's territorial sovereignty. But these are very tiny things, which is why an audit is necessary, because you want to see, some of them have been covered by the vegetation, so you have to walk deep into the forest, which is what we did yesterday, to find them in the ground. Some of them have been, we saw one which has been removed, and that is something that they are investigating. They suspect, his men, that this was caused by erosion over the years that is been removed, but they want to check to be sure that this is not a deliberate attempt by anybody to tamper with demarcations between Ghana and Togo. So it's important for this sort of audits that he talks about to happen, because it gives us a clear idea, and both countries can now negotiate and say, this is it, we know that this is here. Because if any of these pillars are removed, it becomes an issue of contention.
So you don't know where Ghana begins and where it ends.
Exactly. And this is what the colonial, masters did, separated the countries. So there's this pillar we saw that has BT towards the Ghana side. BT is British
Togoland.
British Togoland, right? And then the other one is FT. I think I missed out on what the FT means, but I'm sure we can, we can assume what it means. So FT, and then there is a little arrow on the pillar. So this arrow shows you that Togo is here and Ghana is here, and these pillars.
We are also supposed to conduct an audit of our land boundary pillars. It is on this that we have decided to visit this area to make an audit of our international land boundary using the pillars as a reference. You are aware the team has been here for quite some time now, and they've done a lot of work so far as determining the land boundary pillars are concerned. The auditing is not completed. We'll come back for an additional survey. Now, this has been stated because of the complaints that we've received through the various security agencies and the local authorities. As part of our responsibility, we have also decided that wherever we go for an audit, we should interact with the local authorities and the people to sensitize them on how our boundary pillars are supposed to be protected. It's important to understand that these boundary pillars have been placed as a marking to determine the boundary between us and our neighboring country. And in this case, between Ghana and Togo in this area. What we want to advise all of you is that some of you may have farmlands around the pillars. Make sure that you identify these pillars and the land boundary markings and protect them. Prevent anybody from uprooting it, prevent anybody from disturbing it. And when you identify that any particular pillar is being uprooted through natural causes, either erosion or any other thing, you inform the authorities so that they will inform the Boundary Commission to come in and replant or probably reconstruct that pillar.
So definitely very interesting perspectives there about just so you may have a farm that straddles between Ghana and Togo, and that could be a source of conflict. I guess that's why he's admonishing them to protect.
These pillars, they are, you recognize it if you are dealing with, international laws. And so so for Togo, for the Ghana and Ivory Coast case, for example, you have specific things that internationally are recognized as something that ends your territorial sovereignty, right? All I know is that I grew up here. This is my land.
And I just want to farm.
And yes, and it goes all the way into this country. Well, I don't care. This is my farm. So that's the point he's making, that those of you who have farms around here, look out for these pillars and protect them. As in, make sure that nobody is tampering with it. Because heavens, if anybody should...
Assuming you find gold, for example, that then becomes a big issue of which country, owns that. It? But you also got a sense of the real problem when we spoke to some of the leaders of the community, including some of the chiefs.
Yeah. We interacted, first of all, with the Togolese Traditional Authority. They did not really interact. In fact, initially when they saw the Ghanaian, they were concerned. They thought something was happening. So they weren't very open. But they finally understood why we were there, and then they pledged to support. But when we got to the Ghana side, which is Leklebi Kame, over there, the chiefs talked about how their farmlands are going into this country. But now, because of COVID, you have you have closed down the border. What it means is that this is my land, but I can't go into my land. So that's a concern that they have. They also have a concern about some lands that they said they've given to government that compensations have not been paid for, and then they're saying also that their children can go to school because they live here, but they go to school in Togo. So now that the borders have been shut,
which is essentially an extension of Kame. There's always something in the name. When we hear Kame Tonu, it is not just for fun. It is because that community is an extension of Kame. But our neighbors, our brothers and sisters, our aunties, uncles have been trapped beyond the border. And they continue to be trapped because when it is that they want to come to Kame to visit their families, they are not allowed. When we want to go to our farms, because it is an established fact that the Lekelebi Traditional Council, Lekelebi Traditional Area, our land extends to Kuma in the Republic of Togo, and also to Agometomebe in the Republic of Togo. We have farmlands, cocoa farms, coffee farms, palm plantations on these lands. But as we have it now, we are being prevented from visiting our farms.
And that definitely could be a source of conflict. If to stay with me.
Let me give you his name, by the way.
Sure.
He's Togbi Atachi the Fifth,
coordinator of the Ghana Boundary Commission, Brigadier General Emmanuel Kotia. Brigadier General, thank you for your time here on Top Story. You're being proactive with this, and from the sounds have a potential, if you don't deal with it immediately, to become even more problematic and escalate.
Good evening, Evans, and good evening, Gifty. As you know, Ghana as a republic has an extensive land boundary with Burkina Faso to the north, where Togo, Benin, and Nigeria to the east. Now, there have been numerous low-level land disputes between Ghana and boundaries that have been used as markings for the demarcation of land boundaries. Now, the Ghana Boundary Commission was established by Act 795 of Parliament, 2010. Now, the key objective of the commission is to determine and demarcate Ghana's land boundaries and delineate Ghana's maritime boundaries in accordance with acceptable principles of international law, and also to protect and secure the interests of the Republic of Ghana and determine and demarcating land boundaries and delimiting maritime boundaries. Now, one of the key functions that the Commission has been tasked to undertake by the law is to negotiate with a neighboring country concerning a land and maritime boundary dispute between Ghana and that country. So it was based on some of the reports that we received in that area that the Ghana Boundary Commission decided to conduct this exercise to determine and verify the positioning of the boundary markings, that is the pillars that you have been discussing in these areas. I want to mention that we have had earlier exercises, similar exercises in the border power, that is Boli and Bruno region, which shares boundary with La Côte d'Ivoire. And then we've also had an exercise in Lomé, Eron, Aflao, and that is between Aflao and Pogulo, which is about 10 kilometers north of Aflao. So this is the third exercise that we are conducting, based on complaints that we have received from the community. And the exercise has been very beneficial. What is left to be done is to send a mapping survey team with a mapping drone to then determine and confirm some of the markings that have been removed so that they will be placed at the proper location. And this, I must emphasize, will be done in collaboration with the Togolese Boundary Commission. They have a boundary commission. We have very good relations with them. We have met on more than 2 occasions, and we've been speaking, and we would collaborate with them to be able to undertake this exercise, not only in that area, but other areas in the northern part of Ghana, in the northeast part of Ghana, and then some other parts of the country.
I wonder in what substantive way are we hoping to, without any proper, with the description, some people can even break it. And I know you've admonished the community members to try and protect it. But I wonder in what substantive way can we protect and secure these borders once the proper demarcations have been done?
Let me mention that for the boundary markings, there are 2 types that you can find on the ground, both on the La Côte d'Ivoire at the local river boundary and the Togo boundary, including even Burkina Faso. Now, we have the pre-independence boundaries that are there mixed with post-independence boundaries. Now, in the La Côte d'Ivoire boundary, for instance, there are areas where, in addition to the boundary pillars, teak plantations have been planted along all the pillars as an additional backup for identifying these boundaries. So this is very instructive and very interesting for one to understand the markings. And it is important for us to say that, yes, how do we protect this? We're going to do this in phases. That's why we have assigned ourselves in the next 2 years, this year and next year, to do an audit of the potential trouble areas or the potential areas that are probably explosive. Then in the next 3 years, after the 2 years, we will then continue with other areas so that by the next 5 years, we would have completed the auditing. Now, simultaneously, we and our counterparts of the other countries, we are going to adopt a strategy by which we can jointly replace these boundaries that are missing or probably have been removed, either intentionally or unintentionally.
And you also now calling on the regional security councils to intervene to avert conflict.
No, our emphasis actually is on the district security councils, of course, the regional security, especially those in the border areas. The district security councils in the districts have border committees, those districts that are along the borders. Now, they are made up of those security agencies that are actually working along the boundaries, like Ghana Immigration Service, the Ghana Police Service, the Customs and Excise Preventive Service, and what have you. Now, what we are saying is that if they should serve as early warning to inform them, because we have the mandate to inspect and replace this border police. So if they identify any of these markings that are being removed or tempered, or they are not in place, the boundary commission should be informed. Of course, using the local authorities. Of course, the DCE is the chairman of the district security committee, and the RSEC will not be left out because this is something that will be done within the purview of the region.
And this morning, you give us an indication that since this work you begun, you're receiving calls from across the country from DISECs and RECSECs on the potential situation in their own communities. How widespread is this? Give us a sense of how widespread this is.
We've had various reports, and since some of the regions and districts have now understand that the Ghana Boundary Commission is in place, they have made calls to ask for our intervention in some of these areas that have been identified. So our next move will be to the northeast and the upper east region, and we still also have an outstanding issue in the Borno region with a sharing boundary with La Côte d'Ivoire. In the upper east region, it is both along the boundary with Burkina Faso and Togo. And we have already informed our Togolese counterparts that we would invite them so that they will join us, so that we determine these areas that have been that the local authorities have complained about.
And are the Togolese willing to cooperate in this endeavor?
Excellently cooperative. Excellently cooperative. I've been to Togo on 2 occasions, holding discussions both on maritime boundary issues and land boundary issues, and they have been very cooperative. Indeed, the Togolese have even requested that we should have a joint technical committee with them for land. We already have a joint technical committee on maritime issues, maritime boundary issues with them, and we'll be meeting regularly. So they've requested that we should extend that to the land boundary committee, and they are ready to cooperate with us. I am in constant touch with the president of the Togolese Land Boundary Commission, and we communicate very well with Burkina Faso, and they have expressed the interest to cooperate with us, but we haven't met. We have received a letter from the Ivorian Boundary Commission, and they are inviting us to Abidjan for preliminary talks, introductory talks, before we deal with various issues that will be laid on the table in the agenda we have to discuss. And so we are in touch with all the boundary commissions. Indeed, in the wider extent, we have a boundary commissions platform for West Africa, where we have all the countries on that platform, and we discuss how we should be able to negotiate and steer through some of these challenges peacefully, without any problem.
Brigadier General, thank you very much for that. That's the situation across the country's borders tonight. And Gifty, you've traveled across the country's borders. This is a pretty complex situation, particularly with Ivory Coast, where we know straddling across all of that belt are mineral deposits. Yeah. Sometimes even our rivers, cross into each other. Yes. That is going to be a difficult one, and you see a sense there of that, getting the cooperation to demarcate these areas very clearly.
It was Burkina Faso as well. I mean, there are parts of the Upper West where you can find gold in the land. There are parts of our borders with Ivory Coast where you can find gold as well. And then we had that maritime, situation because we know that there was oil in there. So those areas, it could be tough, but I trust that we'll be able to work it out when we get there.
He talks a lot about the responsibility that the district security councils have in dealing with the potential for this to escalate into full-blown conflict. You managed to speak to one of the DCs in the area.
The DC for Afadjato South, which is where these communities are.
Thankfully, he joins us on the line right now. Thank you very much, sir, for your time here on Top Story. Hello?
Hello, Evans.
Yes, thank you very much for joining us here on Top Story. So give me a sense of, you are the chairman of the District Security Council. Give me a sense of the challenges you have in that area with any conflict.
Thank you, Evans, for getting in touch with us. I appreciate you and your listeners so much.
Kindly turn off the radio close to you or the television close to you, if you have it, because it's giving me a feedback and I can't hear you.
Okay. Are we okay now?
Yes, we are good. Yes.
Okay, sure. So there is this town called Kame and Kame Tonu, where residents are more or less family members, where one can wake up in the morning go inside Cameroon, which is possibly located in Togo, and then come back to Ghana to sleep or something. So that has been the experience over the years. People equally have farms on the opposite side, and then they go to farm and come back home and all. This whole thing started when this whole COVID thing came about, where we had to close our land borders, where now it became quite difficult for people to go in and out as they please. So it brought out the problem for us to see, and luckily for us, the Ghana Boundary Commission were with us yesterday, headed by Brigadier General Kotia. I mean, we went through the forest to see Gifty was with us. We located some of the pillars. I think we're making progress. And one good thing worth noting is that the community is always ready to help us resolve this. So they have played a very critical role, and they've been extremely supportive of DISEC, and they've remained their calm since the borders have been closed. Just that they approached us with their difficulties, which we happen to alert as DISEC. We have some sort of powers to alert the National Security and the Border Commission, which we did. And then they were with us yesterday. We went into Togo, came back to Ghana. We spoke to the elders and chiefs, and then they sort of agreed that, okay, fair enough. They are waiting for us to see how we can resolve their problem for them, or how we can give them some modalities to
do it. And I get a sense from the coordinator that they now have the resources to assist, deal with this, and avert an escalation there. I'm grateful that you joined us, James Etonam Flolu. He is the DC for Afajato South. Of course, this is something that we're watching very closely as the Boundary Commission begins an audit of the country's borders, straddling with our neighbors across the country, both to Togo, Burkina Faso, and the Ivory Coast. This, of course, is Top Story.